Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Please double tap the screen or the three dots to your upper right hand corner and please hit the like button for me, please. Child, I had totally forgot I did not hit the live button and I was talking and realized I didn't press live. So we are here, crew. We're here. And hey, D Dot. Hey, Vivian. Hope all is well. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. So it's over, but it's not over. Diddy. Well, first things first, I'm sure you guys, unless you've been under a rock, we had the jurors yesterday say, hey, we've made a decision on 4 of the counts, but 1 count, which is the RICO, we have not made a decision on. Now, as soon as I heard that, I said, this is not making sense. If everything was not guilty, then of course there would be no debate about the RICO situation. So they would just say, okay, you know what? Yeah, we're ready, not guilty, keep it pushing. So I said, there definitely has to be a guilty somewhere in those 4. And so I said, well, what 4 are we looking at? Now, my educated guess, because of course, a lot of people have their issues with the Jane Doe testimony. I thought it was going to be the P word and it was going to be the ST for Cassie. Because even though they definitely had text messages of her being a willing participant, we also know that there were definitely situations and moments, like, of course, the video that we saw at the Intercontinental and other factors that came into play that suggested that maybe just one time, that it was not voluntary and she was forced. Because I believe that was what the prosecution said. It just needs to be one time. So I said it's probably that for her and the actual P word going from state to state. But we find out today that that is not the case. They did the P word from state to state when it came to Cassie and Jane Doe, and everything else was not guilty. All right. Now, based on what we have heard, Diddy's people was very happy about that, including Diddy. It was not that big of a deal when they heard apparently the guilty on those 2, which rightfully so, because of the fact that the other ones, the ST and also the RICO and the other stuff that they had, pretty much held a life sentence or at least 15 plus years. Okay. Now, with this one, it is 10 years max per charge. A lot of people think, because he's already done 10 months, that they think by the time that they actually sentence him, it's going to be time served and he's just going to walk out with probation. Based on what happened today with the judge, because we find out that the judge denied his bail, because a lot of people thought he was getting out today. A lot of people thought that they were going to say, look, he's not a risk. He definitely, he will stay put, whatever the case may be. But that judge said no. Judge said based off of his history, also said based off of his alleged substance issues and so many other factors. And yes, from my understanding, he could factor in the tape from the Intercontinental and his former situations that have gone on. They could definitely say all of that is the reason why he was denied bail. And apparently he will have to stay in that bad boy until October 3rd to be exact. Now, for the youngins who may not remember, But I remember October 3rd of 1995 was a very, very special day. October 3rd of 1995 is when OJ was found not guilty of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. Y'all keep that in mind, because y'all know a lot of these wicked people love to play these numbers. They're very big on numerology. They're very big on all of that stuff. So I find it interesting that they are literally, apparently, now they said they may expedite it, but if it sticks with that date, that is literally the date, literally 30 years ago, that OJ, because they trying to compare OJ in this case, y'all notice that, right? That the OJ case for what happened, of course, in 1994 with that big trial, the trial of the century, that he was found not guilty. So I find that interesting that 30 years later, they're trying to set what his actual sentencing will be. So what is my take on this? Y'all know, for who has been with me since the beginning, I said I put nothing past anyone, especially when it comes to people in this industry that I have been around my entire life, known as La La Land. I am not shocked. But let me give a disclaimer right now. I am not a bitter Black woman. Because of course, that's been the thing too. Y'all women are blah 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 blah, and y'all Black women. I'm not a bitter Black woman. By the grace of God, I have never been SA'd. By the grace of God, I have never had a DV situation. Now, if you want to consider emotional abuse, fine. But if that's the case, I gave it and took it and gave it at the same time, especially when you're young and you just got a lot of energy. But the actual DV that we talking about, that we saw on that tape, never experienced that, never experienced SA. Now, I do feel that there are some people, because of their own personal experiences, they definitely was very wrapped up in this and wanted this man to pay for even things that happened to them. Unfortunately, when it comes to court, as much as it sucks, it's not what we know, it's what we can prove. I have always felt that Diddy, in my personal opinion, is a very demonic, dark individual. I personally think that the charges that they had on him is just the surface of a lot of other things that he has possibly done that he don't want to ever get out. To me, this is probably lower bottom stuff compared to things that he has probably done. Okay, let's just keep it 100. But that is just my opinion of the situation. But unfortunately, this was played out. Very interesting. And it's really making me wonder if it was purposely played out this way. The feds have a 93 to 98 conviction rate. A 93 to 98 conviction rate. This particular Southern District of New York, they know all about RICOs. Why do they know all about RICOs? Aren't they the same ones who tried some of the biggest RICOs that this nation has ever seen? Nicky Barnes, I believe he was maybe one of the first RICOs, if I'm not mistaken. I think they put that crime, that they put that into law because of Nicky Barnes. The mafia, they got them on RICO charges. And I believe it was the Southern District of New York that charged all of them. And in all of those, you had multiple people who was allegedly in that organized crime. Now, while they actually made some smart claims about him possibly being in the RICO, it's very hard to process a RICO when that is the only person that you actually are giving charges to. You can't do a RICO with just one person. So essentially, the prosecution almost hurt themselves by trying to waive everybody else to make sure that they didn't get charges or whatever the case may be. And they waived and gave them immunity just so they could try to take Diddy down. For the life of me, I don't understand how they thought that would work. I don't know how they thought that would work. And y'all let me know how y'all feel about it in the chat. When have you ever seen a RICO where it's only one person? When have you ever seen that? In the history of them charging RICOs. RICOs are considered organized crime, which means you got to have more than one person. So, yeah, I mean, I understand. And you know what's so interesting about it, and Rosemary, I'm looking at your top one. God help you. I hope you don't regret it. I don't know who you're saying God help you to. One thing I will say is I really am very nervous and feel really bad for the real victims in this situation. Like I'm literally going to say a special prayer tonight for them, because I just feel like this could either shift the industry in a better direction, or it's going to cause even more people to remain silent. And that's what really hurts me to my core in this situation, is because we're not going to pretend that everybody was lying. You may have some people sprinkled in there who were lying to try to get a payday, but you have people who were actual victims, who were bold enough to actually take the stand, or who were bold enough to finally speak against Diddy. And now they're looking at this and don't know exactly what is going to happen within the next couple of months or even the next couple of years. That's what really hurts me to my core in this situation, because it's already a bad situation where people will stay silent in general, even if it's just your random fool down the street who does SA. You know what I'm saying? Like, random people down the street who do SA, people remain silent because of the backlash. This is a guy who has fame and power and has a whole troll of people who will literally come after people, like a Tisa Tales. Because let's be clear, people can have their opinions on Tisa Tale, but I saw Tisa Tale. This guy was literally like harassing her as if Diddy was like his daddy, and literally was like saying some very like aggressive, harsh things. Like if she didn't have security, I was kind of nervous for her. I was kind of nervous for her. But this is where we're at. This is where we're at. But it's making me wonder, like, why would you think? And apparently they're saying, you know, the feds will do that. They will put everything on them to see what will stick. But why would you think a RICO would actually be something that will stick? For the life of me, I didn't understand that when he's the only one. So this made me wonder, is this way bigger than Diddy? And is he just going to get a slap on the wrist? Because they didn't really want to take him down in that way, where he was going to do double-digit years or a life sentence. Because then at that point, he may talk. And if he may talk, he may take down some people that was doing everything they can to make sure they're not taken down. This to me is a very slippery slope. And I think a lot of people, there's a lot of emotions involved, but I can understand why people feel shell shocked. But at the end of the day, I would have to say, I don't think we can necessarily blame the jury. Now, of course, you have your people who have their opinions on if, you know, allegedly, you know, some things happen with the jury, allegedly. Y'all got to look at the prosecution on the situation. You got to look at the prosecution. RICOs are very hard to understand, especially when it's not cut and dry like a Nikki Barnes situation or something like that. It's very hard. And I don't know if they necessarily really explained it thoroughly, not to mention the people that they put on the stand. The guy, the Punisher, who was supposed to be for the prosecution, ended up looking better for the defense. There was a lot of like loopholes and gaps in this, which again, typically does not happen with the feds. So it just makes me wonder. Now I see why people are saying this was just an embarrassment. It was a way to just humiliate him or to bring him to his knees, so to speak. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, bring him to his knees, because at the end of the day, if he is able to walk out by October and time served, do you think Diddy really has learned his lesson? I don't know. Again, God can change anybody. God can change anybody. But I personally don't think that if that man walks out in October and is with time served, that he is going to learn anything. And he's just going to continue to do what he does. He's just going to do it in a smarter way. That's just my opinion. Now, if they make him do years, because from my understanding, the prosecution was saying anywhere between 50 and 60 something months, which I think is kind of like what, 4 to 5 years. If they make him do 4 to 5 years, because by October, he would have served at that point probably like a year. So if he does 4 to 5 years, and then time served with that year, so he does like, 3 to 4 years, maybe. Because this man, I just can't even see him really doing 3 to 4 years, but some people are saying that he's probably going to get 3 to 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Some people are saying he's going to get 3 to 5 years. Some people say he's going to walk. Y'all let me know. So I see so far I have 34 votes. Make sure you guys double tap the screen or the 3 dots on your right-hand corner. Please hit the like button for your girl. Please hit the like button. I'm seeing 34 votes. 65% of you guys are saying he will serve time. You know what I'm saying? Like that he will serve time. We'll see. But I'll tell you this much. Money is the root of all evil. And while I believe in God, I trust, it's clear that in money, people trust. Fame and money can blind a lot of people. It can definitely get you the best top attorneys that there are. But a lot of people are speculating because the judge said, nah, bail denied, that he's not playing games. He's not playing games with the defense. I don't know. They're saying he's getting 50 months, 5 the max. Okay, so y'all feel like 50 months, 5 the max? We'll see. We will see. But I don't know where we go from here. Is this another situation where, again, the so-called rich, the famous, the so-called powerful are getting away with stuff yet again? Because it just seems like it's selective outrage. R. Kelly is in prison. Now, y'all can say R. Kelly was dealing with underage. R. Kelly was dealing with a little bit of everyone, underage and overage. Of age, not overage, but of age. Tory Lanez is still in prison. So the selective outrage and the selective celebration is what disturbs me. Because in a sense, Tory Lanez, based off of what we still see, there is still no solid proof on that man and why he is supposed to be spending 10 plus years in prison, but yet he's there. And Diddy, who has been notorious for just years of just stories. And again, y'all can say stories or rumors, but some of this stuff is not rumors. We're talking about the whole club situation with Shine. They felt he should have been taken down then. But he had Johnny Cochran, I believe, back then on that case. He has definitely had situations where he has been able to get away. He's been able to get away. So I think a lot of people feel like everything that he has done since the early 90s to now, he needs to pay. We're going to have to see if he pays, and we're going to have to see if this humbles him. I personally don't even think that that man can do 3 to 5 years. I don't. I do not think that man is capable of doing 3 to 5 years. I think even if they tell him 3 to 5 years, while I think a lot of people may think that's a cakewalk because of him possibly have been getting a life sentence or whatever the case may be, I don't think Diddy can do it 3 to 5 years. I think if they give him 3 to 5 years, he still may talk, or they still may have him on a quote unquote watch. I do. I don't know if that man can do 3 to 5 years. This is why a lot of people are saying that he's going to walk by the time October comes. So, you guys, I'm just really nervous for these victims. I'm nervous for the people who came out. And, the jury was what? 8 men, 4 women. There was a lot of conflicting information during the trial, but let's be honest here. This is why I said in my video the last time about Cassie, can you be a victim and a villain at the same time? Make sure you guys double tap the screen. Please hit the like button for your girl. Can you be a victim and a villain at the same time? You absolutely can. And I just feel like as much as the jury is supposed to be fair and just look at the facts, your personal biases and your personal feelings are always going to come into play. I don't care what anybody says. It's always going to come into play. And I think for a lot of them, in my opinion, it was very hard for them to look at Cassie as a victim, not just because of the text messages and how the Punisher said allegedly that she was a willing participant and even sometimes randomly called on her own. But I think it's also hard for them to accept victim and $20 to $30 million in her pocket. Let's just keep it real. Especially when those jurors probably, after this is all said and done, still have to clock in at the job tomorrow or next week. It's hard for people to process victim when you're now a multimillionaire. Some of them, as sick as this world is probably saying, okay, you went through some drama for, in hell for 10 years or whatever the case may be, but then you ended up getting a trade-off of $20-30 million. Some will feel like that's a good trade-off. That's how crazy our world is today, because money is the root of all evil. So people, will sell their soul for money. It is what it is. You got a lot of people who will be willing to do that. You have people who are willing to sell their soul for much less. The supporters of Diddy, I understand people who just have an unbiased opinion or whatever, but the supporters of Diddy who are just going hard and making threats and stuff like that, like that's like on some mind control stuff. These celebrities ain't never about to have me wrapped up and be that freaking emotional over if they guilty or not. It makes no sense. Like what Tisa went through today, I was like, oh no, this is crazy. But I told you guys, for those who've been listening to my live, didn't I tell you guys there is something very spiritual and very crazy going on in the energy around that place? Even before we got close to the verdict, you had people outside who was screaming and trying to attack other people, going off on other people, harassing content creators. The energy was like, what is going on here? Like, it was very dark and very crazy. And to me, this actually took the cake when they literally gave the verdict. Like the energy was intense and insane. It was just like, what is going on here? Like, this is very dark. Let me see. Celebs and surveillance videos with well, look, I don't necessarily know if that was the case. So I'm not going to sit up there and say that, because that definitely, when it comes to kids, I don't play that stuff. But at the end of the day, the foolishness playing and baby, yeah, I saw that. But from my understanding, what they have labeled it versus what was actually going on is totally different. So apparently what was going on in that circle, now of course some people just was going insane, like the girl, I guess, who decided to do a girls gone wild moment. But apparently what was going on at that moment was not what it was, but they labeled it as that because it was easy to label it as that. But yeah, I saw the stuff out there with the baby oil and stuff, and I don't know, child. But again, all the people who go to Diddy parties are into what he's into. Yeah, I would say so. And I feel like in order for him to continue and for them to continue to have their freak offs, they need to make sure that he doesn't spend that much time in prison. That's why I said this is bigger than Diddy. Because when you really think about it, if Diddy went completely down and got 15, 20 years to life, even if he got 10 years, now I don't think, even though each thing he's been convicted of serves a max of 10 years, I don't think he's going to get 20 years for like 10 years for each. I don't even think he's going to get 10 years. You know what I mean? But if you imagine if he would have got a life sentence, I think Diddy would have told. He would have told. He would have definitely said something. Because in his mind, if I'm going down and everybody going down, and everybody need to be in there with me. Hey, Carol, what's up? What's up? And hey, Kenny 4D. Hey, Russell. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, I feel like this is definitely this is bigger. For the life of me, while I was like, yeah, I can understand how they were trying to map out and place out the RICO. But then I had to say, well, how many RICOs do we ever have in this freaking nation where it's only one person? So what you're pretty much trying to say is that this one person is the only person responsible for the organized crime. That cannot happen when it's organized crime. It just can't happen. You have to have willing participants who know what you are doing and they're helping you in this crime. So the mere fact that they was like, oh yeah, we're going to charge a RICO, but he's the only one we're charging, that just didn't make any sense to me. It didn't make any sense to me, and clearly didn't make any sense to the jury. It didn't make any sense to the jury. Now, interesting enough, I'm sure the judge is looking at all of this chaos too that's going on. And the judge sounds like he's no nonsense, and the judge sounds like that he may see even the chaos outside, and he also may really come into play all of Diddy's history. I don't know, you guys. It could go either way in October, or if they do it before October, it could really go either way, and either way is kind of scary. It's kind of scary. They just reopened Whitney's case, as in Whitney Houston's case. Oh, that's interesting. Look, let me tell y'all something. I just want evil revealed. I know that seems hard to ask for because it just seems like there's so much evil going on in the world, and evil seems to be very successful. But I just want evil exposed. I just want a great reset. I just feel like good-hearted, genuine, God-fearing people, like they need to be able to take control again and be able to do positive things and be able to do things without having the dark energy and the dark spirits trying to pull them down. Like it seems like that's impossible at this point. Now, of course, my whole thing is this: God controls all. So at the end of the day, all of this is happening for a reason. But I just feel like maybe, just maybe, hopefully, all of this is happening because a great reset is about to happen. And a lot of these celebrities are being exposed. So people are aware of who they are, and maybe their persona and what people know of them is not really the case. But honestly, the way people's minds are wrapped around celebrities, I don't think they're going to care anyways. I don't think they're going to care anyways. We live in a sick world where people truly are wrapped up in these celebrities, feeling like because they're fans of theirs, they're just automatically innocent. Harvey did the same exact thing and he got slammed for it hard. Yeah, but it almost comes off as if only certain people get slammed when the powers that be want them to be slammed. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, why is Tory Lanez in prison? I still can't wrap my mind around Tory Lanez still being in prison. But and he got what, 10 years? And Diddy is possibly only going to get 3 to 5 years, if that. This is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, these type of things don't sit well with my spirit. So, and get supervised probation. I mean, look, without resolving in conflict, Ditto takes the beef. I'm so glad the bond was denied. If this is a tell all sign of what's to come for a woman of color, we're screwed. Yeah. And it does make me wonder, honestly, if Cassie was a white woman, and people try to say race don't have anything to do with it. Oh, yes, the hell it does. Trust and believe if Nicole Brown was Nika Brown, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. It wouldn't have. And Cassie, you know what I'm saying? She is not a black woman, but she's a woman of color. So it'll be interesting to see how they play out with Diddy, how Diddy is treated after this is all said and done. People feel like he's the king of rebranding and he's going to bounce back. It really depends on the major media. Whoever controls the major media controls the majority of the minds, the sheep mindset. So if they feel like he needs to go down and the media starts turning against him, then that's your answer. He's gonna go down. But if the media still is having his back and having an unbiased opinion or pro Diddy, then he can bounce back and rebrand himself. Diddy was living a lifestyle just like a rock stars do. It wasn't race at all, just the POS federal government overreaching. I'm saying that the public opinion would be different if Cassie was a white woman versus Cassie being a woman of color. Almost everybody who took that stand is someone who is a woman of color, biracial, whatever the case may be. Like, mostly every woman was a woman of color. You know what I mean? So that definitely can come into play. It really can come into play. Now, again, you're saying the federal government was overreaching. The federal government to have the percentage rate that they have, if for the life of me, I didn't understand how they thought a RICO was going to come into play, which makes me wonder, what was this really about? What was this really about? Because I could not wrap my mind around it when I really got down to the case. And you guys notice I hadn't talked about the case for a minute. I had did my last live and then I just started listening and reading. And I said, why would they even think RICO can be involved and he's the only person that's being tried? And so I was like, what the heck is this really about here? So when the jury came back saying we can't decide on a RICO, I said, yeah, I could see why they can't decide on a RICO. I could definitely see why they can't decide on a RICO, because why is he the only one in the RICO? She's been doing what she's been doing even before Diddy. If you don't know, then you don't know. I would say, Walter, that you probably don't know either, unless you have proof. Or if you're talking about Cassie, I would say you don't really know what she was doing beforehand. We know that she was with that guy beforehand, but other than that, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that she was on substances and doing all of the stuff that she was doing with Diddy. So we don't necessarily know. Like I said, I'm not saying that Cassie is 100% innocent. Out of all of the female victims that we heard took the stand, or the ones who weren't willing to take the stand, Cassie is the winner in all of their situations. She got $20-30 million in. She got 20 million from his company, if I'm not mistaken, and 10 million from the Intercontinental. She's a victim and a villain at the same time, but she is a highly paid victim. She will be able to get excellent therapy to help her. Capricorn Clark, on the other hand, probably will never be able to get a job in the industry again, simply because she ended up being the assistant to the wrong person who wanted to play mental games, physical games, and everything else against her. So she went out of the limb to sit up there and talk about her experience just for her to potentially now, because they know eventually he's going to get out, she'll never be able to work in the industry that she loves again. It just is, it's these victims. Well, those are the ones that I'm nervous about. Now, I believe Capricorn Clark, make sure you guys double tap the screen or hit the three dots to your right to hit the like button, please. Hit the like button. I think, didn't Capricorn Clark get a settlement? Did she not get a settlement? I feel like that was discussed, that Capricorn Clark did get a settlement. Did she not get a settlement? Y'all let me know in the chat if she got a settlement or not. I hope that settlement takes care of her forever. And I think she has a child too, a child who's has special needs. Cause I just don't know if she's ever going to get a job in the industry again, which is why I said there needs to be a great reset. You have really good people who were assistants, songwriters like a Tiffany Red and people like that, who decided to blow the whistle on the demonic stuff that was going on in the industry, that ends up getting blackballed because they simply told the truth of how wicked people are. And I think that's insane to me. Okay, so you do. Okay, I think, okay, so she did. They wouldn't discuss. I feel like that they did mention that and they were trying to discuss how much her payout was, but the judge denied it. You saying only 100,000? That ain't nothing. 100,000, especially she live in California or New York. That's poverty rate in New York and California. New York City and California, you only making $100,000 a year, you're barely making it. Oh gosh, I swear our nation is effed up. 6-figure salary and you still barely making it, depending on where you live. That is insane to me. I hope she got more than 100,000. If she only got 100,000, baby, she gonna have to keep working for the rest of her life still. They didn't prove their case. They shouldn't have brought RICO charges. I mean, like I just said, I didn't understand a RICO charge when Diddy's the only person. They gave immunity to everybody else that should have been involved in a RICO charge, allegedly. So you're just trying to just put it all on him. You can't do that in a RICO charge, from my understanding, if it's supposed to be organized crime, where that means a group of people are doing this crime together. So, at the end of the day, the RICO definitely wasn't proven. Again, I thought the ST part on Cassie, I felt like, because they just told them that they only needed to say, if one time you feel like she was forced to do it, they said that was enough, if I'm not mistaken, in the closing argument. But again, I truly think that those text messages and $30 million potentially in her bank account threw those jurors off. And was like, she'll be all right. I'm sure they was thinking that. As crazy as that sounds, she'll be all right. She got more money than me. I gotta clock in and clock out. She all right. She can wipe her tears with $100 bills. I'm sure that's what they was thinking. I still think he will get 5 to 6.5 years, maybe. Hi, Amy. Hey, supporting game. Hey, King. Hey, Don. You can say free R. Kelly. At the end of the day, again, I'm gonna look at this situation and wonder how R. Kelly is still in and a Diddy is about to go free. But remember the first time they tried to try R. Kelly, he got off. If y'all remember that. And then it still took years later for them to finally get R. Kelly. So we don't necessarily know. This just may be Diddy's first warning. Well, hell, how is this his first warning? This ain't his first time in court. This man has been getting off with a lot of stuff for the past 30 years. You know what I'm saying? Why are y'all saying, don't say that about 50? Why would you say that about 50? 50, all right. Why? What? Am I missing something? Oh, hey, me. I'm sorry. I'm just talking away. filmed it all. Jerry, yeah, remember he filmed it all, unfortunately, back in the early 2000s when everybody was seeing that tape, but he still got off back then. Remember, he got off back then even after that tape. You know what I'm saying? Don't fly a chick in and spend money on them. You might get 20 years. And that's another thing. I mean, I don't know if you're, but let's be clear, Sheila, in that situation, again, that's why I'm saying I don't know if the industry is going to shift to where people are going to say they're going to play it safe, meaning that you got to be mindful of how you treat people, and you can't, treat people horribly and disrespect people and do sick stuff to people. It could be that it can shift that way, or it could be that people are going to get just very smart about how they do things and be very smart about who they deal with, because what you've seen in this situation is you also have to be mindful of who you end up dating or being around. Otherwise, you could potentially lose a lot of money in the process. So it depends on how the industry shifts. I mean, the reality is that this type of dark twisted stuff has been going on for years in this world. It's just that now social media, everything is at your grasp, like immediately. News hits you immediately versus what it was 20, 30 years ago. I just don't know if this is really going to shift the industry into a better place. Like, I feel like sick and twisted people are always going to find ways to just do the sadistic stuff that they've been doing for a very long time, just in a way to protect themselves even more. And I hope that is not the case, because we gotta, like Cat Williams said, like, you gotta expose this stuff to heal from it and be able to move on. Not if you force the, yeah. Yeah, Diddy is rich with money still coming in while R. Kelly money run out. That's why he didn't get off. Yeah, because you're saying that the money, yeah, but this may be the start of Diddy's downfall, because let's be clear, another thing that we got to remember, a lot of these civil cases are still out there. And even if a lot of these, let's just say half of the civil cases, let's just say 75% of the civil cases are full of it. He still got to have these lawyers deal with all of these cases, which is still money coming out. And what money is really coming in right now for Diddy? So this may be the beginning of them trying to tap out his resources, which means AKA drain his money. We all had to go home to bed after the Grammys, Oscar, and Met Gala. Okay. Pity day will come. And then it says, okay, I don't using Jesus in the Diddy situation, you be mindful of that. But I ain't gonna sit up there and judge you on that. But I will say this, at the end of the day, God is in control. That doesn't necessarily mean that what is happening, like, I don't know. As much as I feel like Diddy is a very dark and twisted person, as a Christian, we have to know that God can change people. He could change in this situation. He could. Maybe if he gets 5 years and he has to sit his butt in federal prison for at least 3 of those years, that may force him to change. That may force him to change, especially when I personally feel, in my opinion, he has done way worse that he has not been charged ever for. So he probably thinks this is really minor compared to what he could have been charged with. Yeah, because his attorneys was probably more so thinking, we just want to make sure he doesn't get a life sentence, or he doesn't get that 15 to life type of sentence. And he didn't get that. So they're probably thinking that with those 2 charges, they'll be able to work with that and try to see if they can give him time served or probation. But again, I think his attorneys thought he was going to be able to walk out of the court today. And I think they were kind of shocked to see that the judge said, nope, he's not leaving. I don't think that they thought that the judge would keep him there. What do y'all think? Do y'all think, hey, Nicole, hey, Floyd, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that they were shocked that the judge didn't let him out? I'm trying to figure out what he do that was so bad that people agreed to do things with him. What do you mean things with him like the freak offs? You have either two situations in that situation. The freak offs, they were doing it because they just as freaky and was on substance issues or anything else, or they were trying to be in good with Diddy, or they feared Diddy. I mean, I don't, it ain't that many options in that situation as far as that's concerned. But one thing I will notice is you guys didn't notice he didn't have any character witnesses. None of the people that he claimed to be his friends or have had long relationships with, none of them that were there to support him, they'd even send a positive message about prayers to him or anything like that. Where's Mary J. Blige? Where's Jay-Z? Hell, Jay-Z's attorney said, I don't know him. We see him in passing at industry events. We ain't friends. So he didn't have no character witnesses. Nobody came to this defense. Besides his family, no one was in the courtroom on his side trying to support him. I would say that says a lot. That says a lot. Again, see here, and that's exactly what that ABM nonsense. Ain't nobody mad. You talking about me? I don't have no bitter bone in my body. I ain't never gone through a DV situation, never been SA, so I'm not looking at the situation of I hate Diddy. I do feel like Diddy has a dark spirit, though. He definitely has a dark spirit. Point blank, period. And maybe that's why you call yourself ABM, because you got a dark spirit just like him. Have a good day. Anywho, with that being said, the Diddy case is just another reminder that in an industry where people routinely trade morality for money, these scandals are. You better say that again, Jerome. You better say that again, Jerome. And just because you are a fan of their persona does not mean that they're good people. Like, I feel like what we're going to eventually see is that a lot of people are going to be exposed, and when you're going to be very shocked to hear that some of these big celebrities, the trifling things they do in the background. I think that stuff is going to get exposed. I would support him either if I was in the industry. He is embarrassing. Yeah, but all of these people who claim they were so-called friends of him, that's your friend, that's your friend. You know what I'm saying? Right, wrong, or indifferent. You can tell your friend, look, you wrong. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm gonna pray for you. But I'm still gonna, you know what I'm saying, love you and just let you know that you're wrong. Like, if you're really a friend. But again, this industry ain't no friends. I would say just in this world, period. Like, people are so fickle and fake at this point. Like, people blow with the wind. Yeah, stay away from people like Diddy for sure. He already served 9 months. From my understanding, it's 10 months. Oh, 50 Cent laughing at Puffy Fluffy. Yeah, well, because he doesn't like Puffy, allegedly. He doesn't like Puffy. Because then didn't he say, he beat the feds, but then called him a gay John Gotti or something like that? I mean, especially because of his baby mama apparently being caught up in this situation, allegedly. It doesn't mean they're bad people either just because they're rich and famous. Yes, that doesn't mean that they're bad people because they're rich and famous. However, everybody who's rich and famous doesn't mean that they're good people either. And I think that when we start hearing stories about people consistently, at a certain point, do we start to say where there's smoke, there may be fire, or people too wrapped up in the fandom of it all? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. Like, the stan culture is at an all-time high where people feel like because they feel entertained by someone, that means there's no way that they can do bad, trifling things to other people. So, let me see. Money is the root of all evil. But at the same time, I think, in my opinion, money just makes people who they originally were. Like, to me, if money makes you evil, that was already in you in the first place. It was already there. It just had to come out. And the more money people get and the more that they feel like they have people at their disposal who don't know how to say no to them, it will let you know who they really are. 50 may want to tread lightly. At the point are the women going to take responsibility for the part they played in this so-called madness? I don't know which woman you're talking about. If you're talking about Cassie, I mean, yeah. But the problem is that she got off by testifying. That's the crazy thing about it. She got off by testifying. Like I said, I am somebody who has said that I feel like Cassie is a victim and a villain at the same time. She's a victim and a villain at the same time. She's not 100% innocent. She's not. But we clearly know she's a victim. We saw the video and we saw things to know that she's a victim. So I'm not gonna sit up there and be like, some people be like, she ain't no victim. She's a victim. She's a victim. Like that Intercontinental video in itself should tell you everything that you need to know. That judge can't be bought. He's going to give him max on each charge he did allow. Not coming home no time soon. That man is the devil. That judge, again, people really thought Diddy was gonna get out. And that judge said, hell no. October 3rd to be exact. 30 years after OJ was found not guilty. That's still stuck in my head, y'all. October 3rd, 1995, OJ was found not guilty for you know what of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. And 30 years later, potentially that's the day that they're actually going to sentence Diddy. Isn't that interesting? When Otto was convicted and sent to prison, I was shocked. I didn't follow his show, but it was crazy. Money isn't evil. Everyone needs money to survive and pay bills to survival. How people get money could be considered evil if they let it. Yeah, you better preach. There are a lot of victims. Yeah, I think there's still a lot of victims that haven't come forward because they're scared. This is why I have the thumbnail that I have, because I feel like more than anything, what this is showing us is that victims are going to stay silent. What is the point of sacrificing their lives, their livelihoods, going through that trauma all over again? Some of them may not be able to afford to even have therapy, just to pretty much find out that the same monster that you finally had the courage to testify against potentially can get out by October or even within a couple of years. You don't think that man is going to fester and remember all of that stuff? Let Tisa tell it. I believe somebody said, either Tisa said it or someone said it allegedly. Somebody in Diddy's camp, as soon as they sat up there and had the verdicts read, somebody said, where's Tisa at? As if they wanted to pretty much do it like a ha ha ha, you know what I'm saying? Like he got off type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like this, I'm telling you, it's sick. Yes, Cassie was a victim until she figured out how to get out. I feel where some of y'all are coming from, but as women, we have something called intuition. If you ignore it, that's your business. Yes, we do have intuition. We definitely have intuition. Company Finch owners with 100 boys, nobody talking about it. Free Diddy. Here's my thing. I don't care if you black, white. If you doing trifling stuff, you need to be exposed. So my whole thing is, I know some people are trying to say, well, why aren't, you know what I'm saying, more powerful white people getting caught up? There are more powerful white people getting caught up. One apparently he unalived himself. The other one is still in prison still to this day. There are people from all walks of life getting caught up. That does not mean that people who look like me or who are part of my culture in the urban culture should not get theirs either. They should. Anybody who's doing trifling stuff should. Period. It's not a crime to be a freak, but it is a crime to have the P word, and it definitely higher P words and carry that from state to state. That is a crime. That's a crime. As much as people want to say, that's not a crime, because we done watch shows and watch movies like The Mac and all of that stuff, it's a crime. Period. They will keep quiet another way. He knows a lot. Cassie messed up the entire case, especially with the audio tape coming out with her. No, I would say the prosecution messed up the case. The prosecution messed up the case. Like, prosecution could have did a better job, and they could have tightened this up for sure. Make sure you guys double tap the screen for your girl, please. Double tap the screen or the three dots to your right. Hit the like button. We got to blame the prosecution on this. Prosecution, though, they could have did a way better job. Way better job. Okay, this is definitely a troll. You not about to sit up there and do no RIP when it comes to him, because that is the man who really did God's work and exposed a lot of stuff. So no, we ain't doing that. No, and I ain't emotionally connected when it comes to Cat. But one thing about it is I appreciate Cat and how bold he was with what he said, because as soon as he said that, the dominoes started to fall. The dominoes started to fall. Sir, goodbye. I ain't nobody got time for this. This is one thing about it. One thing about it, I can't do when I be on my phone doing these lives. The trolls be coming, honey. The trolls be coming. The whole case was bogus. Diddy's innocent, justice served. Okay. They went by the evidence. Okay. I mean, look, I ain't about to argue with people. At the end of the day, like I said, I am not invested in a sense of I think that Diddy is definitely a dark person. I definitely think he has done a lot of things, but at the same time, the prosecution could have did a way better job. They could have. Do I think that he's innocent? No, I don't. I think he's done way worse. Like, I think he's done way worse. You know what I'm saying? There's just been too much stuff about that man, even from his artists on down. Like, there is still no artist still to this day that rocks with Diddy. So I don't think that he's a good man at all. He is about himself and himself only. So, I mean, but it is what it is. But I'm not about to sit up there and argue and get emotional over the situation. Because I will say that at the end of the day, the prosecution should have did a better job and do nothing with Cutter 50. Way too much heat his way right now. We all think so. In prison in a few months. No, whoa, Bill. Now I don't want that. Let me tell you something. While I think that Diddy is a dark energy, I don't wish someone being unalived or being, you know what I'm saying, like gone. I don't wish that on anyone. Like, that's not what I do. No matter how evil they are. They went by the evidence. We dove into his personal life and made it public knowledge. He is not someone to judge. It's not illegal to have. And again, it is when you do y'all realize that buying people to have freaky tales is illegal? Do y'all realize, like, I think we've had so many PIMP type of documentaries and shows that people feel like that's not illegal. That is against the law. It's against the law. So no matter how much you try to say, well, it was some freaky stuff going on, the issue was buying the time, so to speak. Come on, like it's still illegal. So it's just it's crazy that y'all not understanding that. I know, and my moderators are either working right now or out and about. I'm trying to monitor the chat. Michael. If y'all really start seeing some craziness, just let me know who it is, and I'll make sure I try to get them out of there. Is it? Oh my gosh, child, ain't nobody got time for this. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. People act like they don't understand what the law is now, especially when it does not benefit their narrative. It's against the law. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's against the law, period. So OnlyFans needs a RICO. As far as I see it, it may happen. It may happen. It may happen. But let's be, if I'm not mistaken, there is certain states or whatever the case may be, or certain industries like that industry, if you do like the video professionally, you're okay. But again, what we're talking about is against the law. It's against the law. you doing stuff, and I don't even know who you are. Exactly. Thank you, brother, for coming in here. You may have to start sitting up there and just removing people. They were afraid to expose for. I think it was higher freaks that they really didn't want Diddy to expose. Double tap the screen, 3 dots to your right. And again, y'all need to censor what y'all say. I think y'all know how to asterisk stuff. And if y'all not willing to do that, I'm going to have to remove it because y'all know that can flag stuff. He's looking at a maximum of 20 years with the I don't think he's going to get 20 years. He's not going to get 20 years. Not for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to get 20 years. As much as I think people want that to happen, he's not going to get to it. And Trump is not about to pardon Diddy. Why do y'all think that Trump cares about Diddy? He don't care about Diddy. I don't know why people keep saying that Trump is going to pardon Diddy. Trump don't give a dang on about Diddy. Like, seriously. It really, like, I don't even know why y'all sit up there and think that. But hey, yeah, a lot of people have been saying that 5 years at the most. But again, I don't think he can actually do 5 years. I don't. I don't think that man can do 5 years. I don't. So I will see. 5 years to him is gonna feel like 15 years to that brother. You know what I'm saying? So, child, ain't nobody got time for that nonsense. Unapologetic, I'm just gonna have to remove you, honey. I think you want to live that life, and it is what it is. The reality is, it's illegal. Period. It's illegal. He doing all caps, making it seem like that's gonna make it stand out more or make me. It's like, at the end of the day, it's illegal. Period. Oh, I already blocked them, bro. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, yeah, at the end of the freaking day, it's illegal, especially when you're going from state to state. It's illegal. It's a federal issue. Why are you so obsessed with him being gone in prison, Bill? I wouldn't want that on anyone. They lie. They just want to see a black. Oh, here we go. They just want to see a black man down. They just want to see a black man down. Oh Lord, no. And so then, okay. So let me ask you this then: if they just want to see a black man down for Diddy, what's the situation with Harvey Weinstein and Jeff Epstein? If they just want to see a black man down, what were y'all saying when Harvey Weinstein went down? That it was true because he's white? Like, come on. So what was the difference with Harvey? Let me know. They have a 90% conviction in New York. Prosecutors did a terrible job. Exactly. And I'm starting to wonder if that was done purposely. Because like I said, I feel like if somebody looked this up, I feel like New York Southern District is the district that started RICOs in the first place. I feel like they're the ones, they started the RICO system because of organized crime. I believe Nicky Barnes and the mafia. If I'm not mistaken, they started it. They know RICO probably better than any other state, any other district. How do you mess up a RICO? This was not a RICO, not with just him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like same argument used against child, what does Kamala got to do with this? Me and you missing me with that one. I feel awful for the victims. I do too, Daisy. I do. I feel awful for them. They're probably shaking in their boots right now. And people think that mess is funny. I don't find it funny at all. For the real victims out there, men and women, I don't find it funny at all. You think Double A is gonna get 10 years? I don't think he's gonna get 10 years. I don't. I'm guessing he'll get 2 to 3 years max and 7 months already in. He could probably be out by next summer just in time for not another white party, child. He needs to sit up. People talking about RIP. He need to RIP them white parties. It's over. Every black man huge star is targeted after their career wanes. You are blind as a bat about systematic racism in the entertainment industry. Excuse me, Robert D, pipe the hell down and know my channel before you try to tell me what I'm blind about. I've talked about systematic racism in the entertainment industry, but I do know the difference between systematic racism when someone is innocent and someone who just so happens to be black but is a trifling demonic mofo. Period. Now, at the end of the day, like I said before, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And the prosecution did not prove their case. But we are not going to sit up there and pretend that for 30 plus years, Diddy has been able to get away with so much stuff. So where was his so-called systematic racism then when he was a black man shitting on other black people? How about that? Systematic racism, but most of his victims look like him, allegedly, from his artist on. So are we going to go there? Are we going to talk about systematic racism in the entertainment industry when this man, most of his alleged victims look like him? You want to talk about that? Okay. Well, even if he does get out, I wouldn't want to be the one looking over my shoulder every second. That has to suck. Exactly. Exactly. I haven't heard anything about Denzel. It's not every black man. Exactly, Vivian. Exactly. We definitely know systematic racism in general is throughout this whole world. It's not just the entertainment industry, it's throughout this whole world. However, at the end of the day, people like to use systematic racism when it's convenient for them. Systematic racism, when it comes to Diddy, while I'm sure he has experienced it, most of the victims who have come forward look like him. They look like him. Yeah. Yeah, I feel what you're saying, David. The jury was on some BS. Tory was innocent and Diddy was guilty. Yeah, Tory Lanez done got 10 years and there was no prints on him. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, this world is crazy. That's because why women are too are you trying to say white women are too smart? That's because white women are too smart for these things. White women are very protected for these things too. You know what I'm saying? Like, white women are one the most protected women in this country. This is not that. This is a monster getting away with this crap. You talking about Diddy? Right. Because to me, people like to use systematic racism when it benefits them. Oh, they trying to take the black man down. At the end of the day, while I feel like there have been definitely situations like that where people, because they're black, have been taken down, at the end of the day, how is it systematic racism when some of these people who have allegedly done bad things have done them to people who look like them? Seems like to me, maybe it's just their time to get their karma that they rightfully deserve. Maybe, just maybe. This is not what it's, and then Diddy ain't been black in a long time because he definitely didn't act like he was black. He was doing that OJ stuff. I ain't black, I'm Diddy. Ignore the underground tunnels that deliver pieces to Diddy's house. Nothing to see. The Bad Boy reunion is going to be awkward. Might as well call it the freak off tour. Everybody dance around, lawsuits and NDAs. I hope he ain't doing no other Bad Boy reunion. I hope he not. Which makes me wonder if he do that Bad Boy reunion like literally a year before he got caught up. I wonder if he decided to do that reunion to make some extra money because touring is what gets them money in the first place. Make sure y'all double tap the screen, hit the like, hit the likety like. Wow. So we got 411 votes and 62% of you guys are saying Diddy will serve time. 38% say he will not. And what I mean by time is time, not him currently being in prison, but like they're going to give him additional years on top of what he already has done. Will they be giving him back his baby oil? I don't look at baby oil the same anymore. I will be using shea butter forever. I will not be doing baby oil. Diddy the new Fleece Johnson. The jury were starstruck. That's why he got off easy. All the black guys I know have a non-black girlfriend. Well, I don't know where you live, but that's not the case. That's not always the case. I'm sure you probably see that in the media a lot, but that's not the case. There are a lot of guys out there who are black who have black girlfriends and black wives. Yes, yes, yes. In fact, most black men still to this day will marry their own women, regardless of the stereotypes. They still have a high percentage of marrying their own. If Diddy was a poor man, all these women wouldn't do these things. If Diddy was a poor man, he probably would have been found guilty on all charges. They're going to make an example out of him with a slap on the wrist. Slap on the wrist, meaning that he's only going to get a couple of years, or an example out of him that they're going to give him the max, because the max is 20 years. I don't think he's going to get that. If he gets 20 years, baby, I will stop what I'm doing that day and be like, let's talk about it. And then let's see. So is that tunnel found? Oh Lord, y'all talking about the tunnel. But yeah, you guys, I think this is bigger than Diddy. I think that people know this is bigger than Diddy. And I think that just like the Epstein situation, they didn't want him to talk. They don't want Diddy to talk. Epstein had a list, apparently, allegedly, that we still have not seen. And allegedly, apparently, Diddy had tapes. So they don't want that stuff to come out. I can't help but wonder if Biggie was still alive to this day, what would he think of the Diddy trial? I think if Diddy was alive still to this day, he wouldn't be friends with Diddy, or he would have been doing his own thing. They are all grown, and the ones that wasn't grown up had them there. Yeah, you guys. So definitely at the end of the day, I know a lot of people are upset. I know a lot of people are annoyed and sick to their stomach about this situation. But again, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And the prosecution just did not do a good job. They didn't. They could have did a way better job. Especially with all of the resources that they had, they could have done a way, way, way better job. And they didn't. So I wouldn't even say look at the jury in a situation, look at the prosecution. And I'm sure the prosecution, if they really actually cared, are going to really think how they could have did a better job. RICOs are very hard to explain, definitely even more difficult to prove, especially when you're only trying to consider one person. That's the unfortunate. Like when you're just trying to consider one person in a RICO, that's kind of hard. Now I know Diddy apparently, based off of what we heard, have multiple personalities, but those multiple personalities are not considered different individuals. He is just one person. So therefore, a RICO just against one person, while everyone else is free and clear as long as they testify. I can see why people looked at it as a witch hunt. I can. If everybody who should have been involved in the RICO, the guy who apparently was supplying him with the substances, Cassie, all of these other people, allegedly that girl KK, or whatever case it be, if all of these people got immunity and they didn't either have to testify, or when they did, they knew they weren't going to be charged. If all of those people were able to testify and Diddy is the only one who's considered in the RICO, I can see why people was like, it's a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt, or a ritual, so to speak, because of that RICO situation. If they would have left the RICO out and just left maybe the other stuff, I think the RICO really turned a lot of people off. The real victim here is Cassie's husband. Imagine sitting through PTA meetings knowing your wife did the freaky stuff. He's known that Cassie was doing that. Didn't he used to be Cassie and Diddy's trainer? So he knows. He don't care. You know what I'm saying? He don't care. Why these victims went back for more baby oil. Child, at the end of the day, let's be clear. The problem is that there are victims who end up going back. And I think that has definitely made people like question why would they go back. Now, as far as the Cassie situation, I do personally feel that there were definitely situations in her relationship where she had no choice but to go back. I do feel like Diddy saw her as property. I really do. The way that he ragdolled her in that freaking hallway, there's no way. Like, so again, now these other people, it makes you wonder why they went back, but people do a lot of crazy things just to have access. Just to have access. I mean, you see people on social media who act the fool for celebrities that they don't know just because they like their persona or their music or their films or their TV shows. So I can't imagine when you actually get access to those people, how they would actually want to protect them. It's very weird. Do these people protect God the way they protect these celebrities? Wouldn't the world be a better place if people actually protected and defended God the way that they defend celebrities? I'm about to start preaching, but you know what I'm saying? Wouldn't the world would be better? They really took up for God the way that they take up for these celebrities. Um, Wow, imagine being the trainer of a rich dude who abused his ex and then marrying her. Why would it be awkward? Kim K is getting fame out at Norse. What do you mean getting fans out at Norse? I'm confused on what you're saying. Why would it be awkward? Kim K is Are you talking to somebody else? You must be talking to somebody else. If she hates him so much, why she allowed him to pay rent? Are you talking about Cassie or are you talking about Jane Doe? I mean, let's be clear. These women didn't have jobs. They didn't have jobs. And they didn't probably want to get a job. They probably wanted to sit up there and have someone pay their bills while they do whatever they wanted to do. And that's going to be another thing too for the future girls out there who are trying to be industry girls, trying to be the Corinne Steffens and all of these people. I think that's about to get shut down. I think that's about to get shut down. See, that whole way of trying to get the bag or whatever the case may be by being around these guys or whatever, I think that's about to get shut down. I think that after what has occurred, I think at this point, a lot of guys and girls are going to start shutting this stuff down. And either they're going to get married or have one person, or they are really about to just lock this stuff up because potentially this is what can happen. Even if they're in the wrong, this is what can happen. That man literally went through all of this, but I mean, again, when it's your time, it's your time, and I would say it's long overdue for him to even have some jail time. This man has definitely dodged a lot of stuff over the years, but a lot of people are blaming Cassie for this lawsuit situation. I don't know why, because at the end of the day, she couldn't get him convicted of anything. The statute of limitation had already passed. So she was gonna get money out of the situation. But I'm sure a lot of people now are gonna say, I gotta be very mindful because potentially people can look at this about getting money. It could be a money grab. I remember when Dr. Dre back in 2006 got exposed Michelle after the Straight Outta Compton movie. Yeah, but people who are from LA had already knew about stuff like that, to be quite honest. But yeah, the movie kind of put it out there, especially when Michelle came back with her own movie. He treated Cassie like a dog, kicking her, and you got people rooting for Diddy. This world's messed up. It is. It is, David. It's very messed up. Some people hating Dre for his own line about him, but these people rooting for Diddy. Selective outrage is what it is, David. Selective outrage, which is why I said people cheering for Diddy, but still saying Tory Lanez needs to stay in prison for 10 years or more. So I said selective outrage. It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting, especially depending on how much money you have, how much fame you have. It's quite interesting. Diddy ruined Cassie's career, her life, and her family jobs. That's why she kept going back to him. Same thing that the people said about Capricorn Clark. Capricorn Clark kept going back because even when she tried to move on, she got blackballed. And when she finally got a job with someone who was willing to give her a job, Chris Lighty, all of a sudden Chris Lighty is gone. Apparently unalived himself, which is still suspicious still to this day. So yeah, you guys, just wanted to come and talk about this. I know it's hard to swallow, it's hard to process, but again, we'll have to, I guess, wait until October to see. They're saying that they're not going to do it until October, but I think the judge said that he is willing to expedite it. We'll have to see if it is going to be expedited and if Diddy is going to actually have to serve more time or if he's going to walk out in October. But we'll see if this is actually going to change this man, or if he's going to continue to be the POS that we have heard him be for 30 years. Diddy, and then it says, let's be real. Some of these victims keep going back like it was a rewards program. Yeah, well, that's also that trauma bonding, and also the insecurities. A lot of things come into play. Just because these women were beautiful doesn't mean that they don't have insecurities and a lot of other issues that would allow them to have a man treat them that way. They took a messy DV case and tried to flip it into a full-blown RICO. It's like a Netflix drama. Nobody's a victim. Some just mad the perks ran out. Yeah, well, I don't think everybody's a victim either, but I definitely know that there are victims, and that's who I feel bad about. Not saying everyone's a victim, but I do feel there are victims, and that is my concern. I feel bad for them, and I'm going to give a special prayer out to them tonight for their protection and for them to really, lean on God in this situation, because I'm sure this is messing with their minds right now. And it's an unfortunate situation because a lot of these people probably just simply wanted to work, probably wanted to make music, probably wanted to work in the industry, and they just ended up meeting the wrong person. While they thought the right person because of the status, the wrong person as far as where they ended up in the rabbit hole they had to go down. But with that being said, you guys, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope some of you guys have subscribed to my channel. I definitely like to talk about these things and the dark side of all of this stuff that's going on and people getting exposed. I just think we're gonna have more and more of this happening. But I do feel like darkness needs to be exposed and light needs to reign. That's just what it is. So at the end of the day, you guys, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys so much. Like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.